Donald Trump controls the nuclear buttons. He doesn't just control them at a press conference or when you see him talking on an interview. He controls them 24/7, 365 when he takes office for the second term. And in this breaking story, it is imperative for us to stop, if by chance you are, laughing off sort of the rambling goofiness that Donald Trump is. Because what he does, far too often, he did it in his first term, he does it in between terms, and it's only going to get worse because he is getting older. He controls the nuclear codes 24 hours a day. And in this breaking story, we need to really stop and start recognizing that includes the time when you're asleep, but Donald Trump isn't. What is his brain really doing?
Warning us about Donald Trump. Dr. Gartner, nice to have you on, my friend. You've been raising alarm bells for a long time.
Also a total radical on a word called, do you know this, right? A word called what? Abortion.
I don't know. Does that clip stand out to you as significant?
The stopping and starting can also be a marker of that he's suffering from, we think of it as early dementia. And yes, the clip you showed, the example you underscored, it is a sign of possible neurocognitive decline.
It's only because of my obscure academic specialty that I was aware of how dangerous Donald Trump was. I studied under a world expert in an obscure diagnosis called malignant narcissism, which was actually designed to explain Hitler by Erich Fromm. So when I realized that there was a candidate who met all the criteria, it was like an asteroid heading towards Earth. Erich Fromm is a very famous psychoanalyst, is one of the founders of humanistic psychology, escaped Hitler, but he was obsessed with describing what he called the quintessence of evil, which is a particular personality type that he seriously retrofitted around Hitler to explain that kind of monstrous leader. And it has four components. One, of course, is narcissism. The other is paranoia. All of his, conspiracy theories and his feeling that he's constantly being persecuted, and that justifies his harming other people. And then psychopathy, being antisocial, lying, stealing, exploiting people, violating their rights. Okay, and then finally the fourth, and this is a very important, sadism. Taking pleasure in harming people, demeaning people, destroying people, and taking pleasure in destroying institutions, and that there's a kind of omnipotent, destructive orgy of pleasure that comes from this perverse personality.
Cognitive decline, dementia. Oh yes, we all know what that means, except it's usually in the context of whether or not grandma or mom is going to remember what house she lives in, not which country she's a citizen of. Take a listen to what Donald J. Trump did at 3:30 in the morning. Quoting President-elect Donald J. Trump from a tweet he made himself, in quotes, "No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over $100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea. 51st state, exclamation points." In a second posting, @RealDonaldTrump wrote, "Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, which states that numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI. Thank you, Congressman Barry Loudermilk, on a job well done. Newsmax by Greg Kelly." You can't even put those two thoughts or social posts together in any form of connectivity. Canada, the 51st state? Oh, Liz Cheney, that crazy woman from Wyoming that I want to get rid of? He's not even in office yet, folks. And this is what we are facing with this man's mind. We've already heard all of his words. And yes, while words I don't necessarily think can't hurt you, the old sort of rhyme that we had, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. No, words do hurt. But what words also do is they indicate, and what Donald Trump has indicated for over 8 years now is he's very, very angry and wants to get even with everyone who doesn't pat his orange hair and tell him he's great. And that includes the 6 to 10 hours on a daily basis that you are asleep, when possibly he isn't, and in control of something he may choose to do randomly that happens hours and hours away in a different time zone in a foreign land while we sleep. We are reaching a place, even prior to Inauguration Day, that it is seriously time to ponder what is going on in that man's mind, setting politics completely aside and just discussing cognitive danger. Please share and stay frosty.